All right, take it away, Michael.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Hi, Michael Suarez, and I'm the Assistant Director for Student Development for UCLA Honors. I just really want to welcome all the Scholars students to this presentation. We are really, really excited about this collaboration between the International Education Office and also the undergraduate education initiatives. In this partnership, to see that, and it's also the first ever global summer internship cohort experience for college scholars in summer 2021 in Sydney, Australia. We're at Scholars, we're all about community and the learning, being, and doing model, and how we can pattern and plan our undergraduate experience in order to accentuate the values of community. And we couldn't think of anything else better than this new pilot and experiment, since study abroad is always about enhancing our educational opportunities, ecumenical worldview, multicultural perspectives, and also enhancing your own personal and broadening your professional opportunities. So we're really excited to have our two guests here to give us the information about how that can happen. And it's also about remote internships around the world too, if this is not to your liking. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to our International Education Global Internship Program Manager, Andrew Bottom. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Michael. And before we get started, I just want to introduce my colleague, Deborah Morrison. She is from ISA, which is our partner organization in Sydney, Australia. So Deborah will be joining us throughout the presentation to give a little bit more information from her perspective and kind of a little more in-depth information about what your experience might be like in Sydney, Australia. So without further ado, I will get started. So today in the presentation, we are going to be talking obviously about the Global Internship Program in Sydney for college scholars. We'll talk a little bit about a topic on everyone's mind, which is COVID-19. We'll talk about reasons you might want to intern abroad, give you a general program overview of the Global Internship Program. We'll talk about the application, selection, and placement process. And then we'll talk a little bit more specific about the actual program in Sydney, Australia, which we'll bring on Deborah. And then we will discuss the program costs and funding options for how to fund your time abroad. Again, as Michael was mentioning, there are also virtual options, which we'll talk about as well if you're unable to travel abroad this upcoming summer. And so we'll talk about all that today in this webinar. So study abroad and COVID-19. So before we get started, we obviously want to talk about COVID-19 because it's a topic on everyone's minds. Summer 2021 for global internships, we are planning to run all of our programs as scheduled, including the Sydney program for college scholars. We're continuously monitoring the situations abroad, and we are very sensitive to any timelines that students might have, as we know that students are always about planning ahead and making sure that you know what's going on, in the upcoming quarters to come. So we want to make sure we're sensitive to your timelines, and so we will definitely communicate with you if there is any reason that we decide that we are unable to move forward with the program in person. As I mentioned prior, we will have virtual options either way, and those will of course be running either way, as you'll be able to do those from the comfort of your own home. And so we just really appreciate throughout the process your flexibility and patience. Obviously, it's an unprecedented time with COVID-19, but we are doing our best to make the experiences happen for students at UCLA. One very important note, however, is if you are planning to do a program this upcoming summer, and you do need to renew your passport or you need to get a new passport, we definitely encourage you to do that right away. Usually the passport process takes about 6 to 8 weeks to renew or to get a new passport, but due to COVID-19, a lot of those timelines have been backed up. And so we highly encourage you, if you are thinking about studying abroad and your passport needs to be renewed or you need to get a new one, to do that as soon as possible, so that isn't a reason that you're unable to study abroad. So why intern abroad? So there's a lot of reasons that you might want to intern abroad. I would say throughout the last few years that I've been working with the International Education Office, we've gotten a lot of students consistently coming in and asking us about internship opportunities. I know at UCLA, it's really important to students to have really that practical experience while you're at UCLA, so that once you graduate, you're able to enter the job market and have that competitive job advantage. In this case, we're giving you some international job experience. You're getting you exposure to your job industry, strengthening your communication and team building skills, your adaptability skills of learning, and working in a new cultural environment, networking with both your peers there and with your colleagues at your whatever organization or company you end up working with, obviously expanding your worldview. In this case, we're providing academic credit, so you're making progress toward your degree, discovering a new culture, understanding your own culture better, boosting your confidence and independence. And then, of course, just being able to travel is always a plus. So the Global Internship Program, here's the general large macro overview. So the program in general happens just in the summer. And all of the programs lead between mid-June to mid-August. And I'll talk specifically about the dates for the College Scholars Program in just a minute here. The program length includes 8 weeks of an internship and then 10 weeks of online courses. So the online courses follow the summer session A 10-week schedule. And students are either going to be enrolled in 4 units or 8 units. So you'll be taking 1 or 2 courses while you're abroad or while you're conducting your virtual internship. These internships are academic, so they are unpaid, but as we mentioned, and we'll talk about in a little bit, it is an opportunity to fulfill your college honors scholars community engagement requirement. Internship hours for in-person will be full-time, so between 32 hours to 40 hours per week. And then virtual provides a little more flexibility. There'll be about 20 to 30 hours per week for virtual. The eligibility criteria for the College Scholars Program is you must be a UCLA undergraduate student. You must obviously be enrolled in the College Scholars Program, have 90 units completed by the end of spring 2021. So that can include transfer units. So if you're a transfer student or you have AP units that you've brought into UCLA, that's okay. We just want you to be considered a third-year student when you enter the summer of 2021. Having a cumulative GPA of a 3.0 or above, and a good academic standing. The dates of the coursework will be again following the 10-week summer session A schedule. So it's June 21st through August 27th. The 2 courses are CESC 195 CE, which is Community Engagement and Social Change, and that's an internship course. And so that course itself, you'll have a TA located on campus here at UCLA that you'll be communicating with back and forth. You'll be doing some one-on-one virtual sessions with them, really talking about your experience while you're abroad. You'll have a research paper that will be due at the very end that will focus, on the experiences that you've had, in your job site. And it's really a course that helps you kind of analyze, the international workplace. CESC 130 itself is a secondary course that you're able to take for 4 additional units. It's intercultural communication in the global workplace. So this course is more focused on intercultural communication theory and applying that to the global workplace. And so that course itself will be kind of like what you consider a standard online course. It's not going to be asynchronous, but you will be logging on. You'll have a portal that you'll be logging into, and there'll be questions you'll be answering, the different projects you'll have to complete throughout the time that you're abroad. And so you'll have some readings, more textbooks that you'll, not necessarily textbooks, but academic readings that you'll be fulfilling. And so any student on any of our global internship programs could be taking the 130 course, whereas the CESC 195 CE course will just be students from the College Scholars Program. And that is really more of almost like an independent study, I would say, because you won't be doing it as a class together. It'll be, you and the TA one-on-one in a sense. If you are interested in receiving financial aid or you want just 8 units, you must be enrolled in both courses. So again, financial aid applicants, you must be enrolled in both courses if you want to be eligible for financial aid. And then the students who are enrolled in the 2 courses for the in-person program, they would just be working or interning 4 days a week. So the students who are enrolled in just one course would be interning all 5 days. And those that are enrolled in 2 courses would be interning 4 days a week, just to give you a little time to really focus on your academics. So as far as the enrollment for the program, enrollment has opened. It opened on November 2nd, and it closes for in-person on February 12th and February 26th for virtual opportunities. Currently, we're what's known as the priority enrollment period. That's what we're in right now. And that goes until December 13th. What that basically means is that any student who enrolls between now and December 13th, you will be in our first pool of applicants. And so we'll be reviewing those applications initially. And if there's limited spots, we have a lot of applications, you'll be in that first pool and the first opportunity to really, be approved for the program. And so after that enrollment period, it could be that the program is already filled up, or it could be that there is more spaces available. And so enrollment, will continue after the 13th if there are spaces still available in the program, in which case you can still enroll up through February. But we definitely encourage you, if you are interested, to enroll during that priority enrollment period, so you have the best opportunity to get into the program. There may be limited seats, spaces that the students can enroll in. And so we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to enroll in the program, early, so that you have the best chance to get, approved for it. For students who have a major that is also represented in one of our other career tracks, which I believe is just global affairs, so the students who are one of the International Institute majors or minors, if that's you and you're also a college scholars student, contact me because I've been talking with Michael a little bit about, if you're looking towards getting credits towards your major or minor, but also want to fulfill the College Scholar Honors community engagement pillar of your capstone, that you can do that at the same time. And so reach out to me. My email will be at the end of this presentation, so we can talk a little bit about that before you move forward with applying. The selection and placement process. So when you fill out the application, the initial application itself is mostly biographical information that you'll fill out. But at the end, you will be asked to upload a copy of your current resume. So we definitely ask that you review your resume, make sure it's current, make sure that it's spell checked and formatted appropriately. Even if you don't have prior internship experience or much prior work experience, definitely highlight, any clubs that you have leadership positions with, or, specific coursework maybe that you've taken that might be relevant to the internships that you're looking to, partake in. So definitely make sure that it looks nice before you upload it, because we'll be providing that to our partner organization who will be helping with the placement process. And then additionally, there will be a questionnaire you'll be filling out in the application. And there's no way to save the application when you're in the process. So I suggest that you look at these questions. They are posted as well on the actual website. So you'll see on the website for the College Scholars, there's a little drop down that says documents to prepare for application, the same as this title here. And you'll have the questions listed there. And so I suggest you looking through the 4 questions and you kind of can pre-write them on a Word document and then copy and paste them into your application when you arrive to that piece of the application. So these questions talk about your personal introduction, just kind of more about yourself and your background and why you're interested in the program. Secondly, it talks about why you're interested in the particular city or country. In this case would be Sydney, if you're in person, or if it's virtual, it could be, really anywhere. Career goals, how this internship can, enhance your career goals. What are you interested in specifically, or what specific career sector you're interested in? This will provide us a lot of information kind of about what you're looking for in an internship, and then why you should be selected, why you think you're a strong candidate for the Global Internship Program. After that is submitted to us at UCLA, I will take a look at it and make sure that you meet all the eligibility requirements. And as long as you meet those eligibility requirements, then we will send along your application information to our partner organization, which in the case of the in-person program would be with ISA. If it's with one of the virtual programs, there's a couple different, depending on where you decide you want to do your virtual internship, which we'll talk about in a little bit. There's a few different organizations that we work with depending on the location that you're talking about. So the second step again is this advising with our partner organization. They will set up an appointment with you and you'll do a quick advising appointment with them where they'll learn a little bit more about your motivation for the program, your interests, your experience, and learn, whether they have good opportunities for you in that host city or country. After that initial advising appointment, and that's also a good opportunity for you as someone who's applying for the program to ask questions about like, what are the opportunities for you there? If you want to do something very specific, is that really possible? Really to have realistic expectations of what to expect, for the program. The third step is you get basically accepted into the program. So for that initial priority enrollment, we'll look at all the students who applied, and then we'll look at the top students in that application pool, and then we will send out acceptance notifications to those students. And so at that point in time, if you're accepted into the program, we'll ask for you to put down your $200 non-refundable deposit. So that deposit basically gets you solidified into the program until the final application deadline, in which case your final payment or your financial aid application would be due. And then we move on to the placement process. So if you get yourself, in the program and you decide that you want to do it and you're selected, then we go into what's known as our placement process. And so I'm going to actually throw this over real quickly to Deborah from ISA, who again is our partner in Sydney, to talk a little bit about how they, talk with students about the placement process, how that works, how the interview process works, just a little bit more information from our host.
Thank you, Andrew. Yep. So during this time period, you will, your cover letter and resume will come to the ISA office, and you will have sign up for an advising session with one of our career advisors. This is an opportunity for you to really outline what it is that you're looking for in your placement, what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve with it. And that career advisor has a series of questions they'll ask you that really hones in on what it is that you're looking to do. She may end up coming back and saying, hey, why don't you update your resume in this way, or can you add that to your cover letter, because I don't find to be the best opportunity. Career advisor session has been completed. She'll then send your application onto our team abroad, and will convey what it is that you're looking for as far as a placement. At that point, the search starts, and our team on the ground is out looking for a placement that fits you. It's possible we already have a really great placement that we've worked with in the past that we're going to say, oh, this is a perfect fit. Let's get you right in there. And in other cases, it might mean that we need to go and find a new partner to work with. So we have lots of established relationships and organizations we've worked with for many, many years. And we're always open to looking for new ones and finding just the right placement for every student. So that process can take anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks. So it can be rather lengthy while you sit and wait. It's a little bit unnerving to think, oh, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen?
You're cutting out a little bit, Deb, so I'll try to summarize what you're saying right now. So Deb was just saying that process can take about maybe 2 to 8 weeks, and so they try to just have patience, and they'll do their best, to get you placed as soon as possible. They'll be in constant communication, with you to make sure that they can really find a good fit. Once they do find, a organization that looks like a good placement for you, they will set up a video interview. And so that with that prospective site manager, they'll do a video interview between you and the site manager. Both of you and the site manager, after that interview is completed, will report back to ISA about how that experience went. And, if you both agree that it's a good fit, then you'll move forward with signing kind of your internship agreement. And so that's a similar process, that placement process that goes forth for our virtual options as well. It's not with ISA directly, but it's a similar placement process that goes with our virtual organizations as well. It's good to note too that this pre-placement interview, it sounds very similar to what I was calling that initial advising interview. They are similar in some ways, except for this one just goes a lot more in depth. And so it'll be longer, and you'll, really, like they said, they'll review your resume more in depth. They may have asked you to update it. Prior to this one too, it sounds like they'll have you write a general cover letter. So there are some differences between the initial advising interview prior to being accepted to the program, which is a little more general, even though they will ask you more questions about your motivation for the program. But this one, you'll be a little bit more prepared. They'll have some things you might need to complete for them. Do you want to try again, Deb?
Yes, I switched over to my phone, so hopefully
Okay.
this is a little bit better. My apologies. I have had trouble all day with my internet. So apologies for that. Everything Andrew said is exactly right. And those are all the steps that take place. One thing to keep in mind is that we're really determined to find a placement that fits you. So we place 99.9% of our students get placed. It's very rare that we can't find a placement for a student. And we're really eager to make sure that it's something that works for you. So that dialogue and that back and forth is a part of the process, and making sure that you know what your expectations are, we understand them clearly, and therefore we can fulfill that placement need.
Great. And then we'll move on a little bit now and talk about Sydney. So again, our College Scholars in-person program is located in Sydney. The dates of that program specifically are June 23rd through August 21st. So I believe the spring quarter ends around, I think, the 12th. And so you'll have about a couple of weeks prior to the program beginning. For the program for College Scholars, really, you can be placed really in any sort of career field in a sense. The only exception is that you can't be at a for-profit company due to the curriculum of your CESC 195 CE course, because it's a community engagement social change course. It must be either a governmental, NGO, or nonprofit organization. And so even if you're in marketing, let's say, you could still do the program. You just be doing marketing, let's say, for an NGO versus for a for-profit company, for instance. And so as Deborah was saying, they place 99.9% of their students. So as long as you are accepted into the program, I think you're a great candidate just from your motivation and from your experience and what you're looking for, and they have placement opportunities, then, most likely they're going to find a placement for you, obviously. The hours, again, are between 32 and 40 hours per week for the in-person placement. And then I'll bring Deborah back on. Are you still there, Deb?
I am, yep.
And then do you want to talk a little bit more about maybe the experience the students would have in Sydney once they arrive and throughout their time there?
Absolutely. So once you arrive into Sydney, we'll have an in-country orientation that'll take place. And so that'll be the first few days that you're in country. We'll do some pretty fun stuff around town, get you accustomed to how the mass transportation works in Sydney, make sure that you have everything you need, get you moved into your accommodation, and so forth. So during that time period, you'll get a chance to meet all the other students who are also on your program, and go and see some of the sites around Sydney. After that, you will start your internship on a Monday. And so that first day at your internship, we'll make sure that you know how to get there. If not, if it's something complicated, somebody will go with you. But usually we just go through the mass transportation options, as far as, is it bus, or are you going to take the subway, or how is it that's going to be the best way to get there? Do you have to take the ferry? So forth. Then from there on, we have a number of activities that take place throughout your time in Sydney. So there are cultural activities and excursions throughout the period. There will be at least one day trip outside of town that's included, and there will be a number of different cultural activities. So that could be anything from maybe there's a neat Aboriginal event going on in downtown, and everybody and the resident director that's there locally will say, hey, we're all going to meet at this particular location to go to this event together, or something similar to that. So the resident staff are there to provide that sort of support. The other thing that the resident staff is there to do is to support you for anything else. So if you had a health issue or some other challenge of whatever kind, our staff is there available 24/7, and you can give them a call, text them, and they're going to respond and help you out and be available to support you throughout whatever you need. You know, you need to go see a doctor, they're going to help set that up for you. So that team is there not only for the fun stuff and setting up the orientation and all the excursions and such, but they're for the whole thing. Throughout your time, you'll also have a couple of professional development workshops that take place. And so those are to help you to continue to get the most out of this experience. And so they focus in on some of our career readiness pieces for which is an extra optional course that you can take on top of your other courses. It's not as intensive as any of the classes you will be taking. It's not for credit. It's more of a supplemental learning opportunity to really put some understanding around what you're getting out of this internship. And so it's focused on areas of career readiness. So those workshops are part of that. And it's a great opportunity to reflect back on your internship while you're still there, and also spend some time with the other students who are participating. And then you'll go through your internship. You'll be at your site 4 or 5 days a week. And at the end of the term, of the 8 weeks, then you'll be ready to head on home, or possibly travel for a little bit independently if you choose to do something like that, or somewhere else in another country. But at that point, the internship will finish up and you'll be on your own and ready to head out. So that's kind of what it's like. As all, you know, a lot of our students choose to travel on the weekends. There's lots of great places around Sydney. It's easy to get around by bus to other cities, by plane to other cities, and that it's a huge country, but really accessible, and some amazing, incredible places to visit.
And I was just going to note as well, as far as COVID in Australia, they're doing very well with COVID itself. And so compared to here in the US, it's actually a much safer place to be in terms of COVID. There is obviously some government regulations currently right now, but we're hoping that things change in the coming months. But as far as COVID is concerned, it actually is a much better place to be, just because the rates of cases are much, much lower than the US.
That's absolutely true. There is a possibility that there could still be a quarantine at that point, but I am very hopeful for vaccines and whatnot to remove all of those restrictions. So fingers crossed, we see a big change coming here in the next few months.
All right, so we're going to move on further, and Deb will be on here at the end too to answer any questions you might have about the on-site experience. So again, in addition to the in-person opportunity, there is virtual internship opportunities as well. So those are located on our website as well, and you'll see that we have opportunities in the 5 different continents. So Africa, Australia, Asia, North America, South America, same kind of career sectors. So it's really broad for you all. It's just, it needs to, again, to be in an NGO, in a nonprofit, or in a governmental organization. It can't be a for-profit company. For the virtual internships, again, it's 20 to 30 hours per week. So a little bit more flexibility in that sense, since you'll be working from home. Also, the virtual internships, they close their enrollment 2 weeks after the in-person program. And the reason we did that is that if there is any reason that we are unable to have students travel abroad this upcoming summer, we're hoping that won't be the case, but if that is the case, we'll give you an opportunity, if you do apply for the in-person program, to switch to a virtual opportunity. And so you'll have that option. If you don't want to switch and we do cancel your program in person, in that scenario, we would return your $200 deposit. So even though it is non-refundable, if we decide to cancel the program on you, then we would return your $200 deposit in that scenario if you didn't want to move forward with a virtual program. The program costs and funding. So for summer 2020, the program cost itself for the Sydney program, again, it's 8 weeks, or both the virtual and the Sydney program are 8 weeks. The difference between the units, the 2 costs here are just that the one is 4 units and one is for 8 units. The units themselves follow the summer session $279 per credit hour. So those are exactly the same. And then we have some estimated costs as well. Your round trip airfare, which could be cheaper or more expensive, but this is kind of a good round number, about $1,500. You might find a ticket for $1,000, but we just try to estimate it for you. Your meals and incidentals, you could be someone who eats out a lot, or you could be someone who's cooking from home. And so it's really up to you to kind of decide, how You spend your money while you're there. The program fee, I should actually emphasize, includes your tuition, includes your housing, includes your health insurance, it includes your internship placement, all that work that goes in by ISA, and also that 24-hour assistance, while you're there. Deb, if you're still there, could you actually talk a little bit about the visa process for US citizens, or for just in general for Australia?
Absolutely. So for your immigration visa, you do go over on an internship visa. It's a special program visa. And so you do have to be earning academic credit in order to qualify for that visa. It's specifically for students who are either still studying or have just graduated, who are looking to get internship experience. So you do have to be earning academic credit for your internship experience to qualify. So that application process is actually pretty simple. We'll walk you through that, but there is a fee involved in that you pay to the Australian government. So unfortunately, we can't control that fee. They do. It is about $220 US. You will apply, and you typically hear back within a couple of weeks, if not even faster than that. So it's all done online. You'll submit your application online, and you should hear back relatively quickly via email that you've been approved. You don't get an actual like physical piece of paper or anything like that you put in your passport, but you will get an email recognition that you can take with you as you go through immigration. Not that you normally need it. When they run your passport, it'll just pop up that you have this visa and that it's for up to 90 days. So back to the idea of being able to do something after your program, you would have additional time in country if you wanted to, up to 90 days on that immigration visa.
Great, thank you. And then for our virtual programs, you'll see that I have it's $24.72 or $35.88 for the virtual programs there. The only difference between the fees, basically for all the locations, are exactly the same except for Colombia. Just who we work with in Colombia just happens to be a little more affordable. So we wanted to make sure that we pass that savings on to you. So if you do choose the Colombia program for virtual, it's a little bit cheaper. It's $400 cheaper than these numbers we have listed here. And those, again, are for 8 weeks as well. As far as financial aid, these Global Internship Programs are financial aid eligible. And so the nice thing is that the Financial Aid Office will take into consideration all of the costs. So this slide I just had up here, they'll take into consideration both your program fees as well as, in case of the in-person program, your round-trip airfare, your meals and incidentals, your visa fee, and they'll be able to package you for the total cost so that you hopefully won't have any issues monetarily while you're there. For financial aid, you will need to apply for your FAFSA or DREAM Act by the priority deadline for 2021-22. So if you are, if this would be your final year in the sense of you would be graduating normally in the spring, you would need to do another FAFSA and extend your graduation deadline to the end of summer. Financial aid will include grants, scholarships, and loans. That's what financial aid is. So in the case of summer aid, it is a little different than the aid you might receive during the academic year because there are less grants that are available. So during the summer, it is just the Pell Grant and the university grant. So I do like to be really honest with students and let you know that if you are planning to do a program during the summer, no matter if it's with Global Internships or UCAP or a faculty-led travel study program or just a summer program on campus, that it tends to be more loan heavy, your financial aid package. And so just be aware that if you are planning to do financial aid, that you will have to expect to take out loans most likely. For the financial aid process, we do have you fill out 2 additional forms basically to secure your financial aid. One is just a form that we have you fill out before the application deadline. So a student who's paying out of pocket will need to pay by the February 12th or the February 26th deadlines for in-person or virtual. If you are paying with financial aid, then we have just a form you fill out saying you plan to use financial aid, and we have you sign and confirm that. And that will be posted on your registration portal, that form for you to fill out. Then in, I believe it's March or early April, there'll be an actual financial aid form on My UCLA that opens. Unfortunately, it can't open sooner than that. I've asked them to, but Financial Aid Office has some specific deadlines they're working around, and so it opens in, I believe it's March or April. And then we have you fill out that application online. It's very simple again. And we'll have actually financial aid workshops, most likely some in maybe later November or December, and then in January and February, where you can learn more from financial aid office about the process itself, and you can ask them questions, the advisors. So you'll, for the Global Internship Program, have to complete those 2 application forms in order to enroll in your financial aid. And then just a reminder, you must be enrolled in both courses, so 2 courses, 8 units, in order to be eligible for financial aid. As far as scholarships are concerned, we do have some scholarships available for this program. So through the IEO office, there's 2 scholarships that this program you could be eligible for. So one is the UCLA Global Internship Scholarship for $2,500 for the in-person programs. That scholarship is for students who are financial aid eligible. And so we give out various scholarships for that each year. So we definitely encourage you to apply if you are eligible. And then there is also the Wang Middle Income Scholarship for $2,000. That scholarship is for students who are considered middle income. You can look on our website. If you go to, you'll see below ieo.ucla.edu/scholarships. You'll be able to click on Global Internships, and you'll be able to see both of those scholarships listed there and learn about the requirements and eligibility. In addition, on our website, you'll also learn about some external scholarships. One I like to highlight specifically is the Gilman International Scholarship. That one is for Pell Grant eligible students. You can get up to about $5,000. And about, even though it's a nationwide scholarship, I believe a quarter of students nationwide who apply do receive the scholarship. So it's quite a high percentage if you think about it. And from my own personal experience, although this is not, this is just my own, kind of looking at students who have applied in the past, I would say UCLA has a much higher percentage of students who do receive it than a quarter. So I would definitely apply for that scholarship if you have an opportunity to. It does require you to complete a project when you get back from internship experience. So you can look a little bit more on the Gilman website, but that information is listed on our website at ieo.ucla.edu/scholarships. Additionally, we have databases like the Diversity Abroad Scholarship Database on our website. You can look into that. Will talk a lot about a lot of different other national scholarships that you might be eligible for, depending on different identities, on your major, on your interests. And so you can definitely take a look there. We also last, or I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, had our Global Learning Opportunities Week. And we had a presentation from our Assistant Director of Scholarships. And she talks a little bit more in depth about scholarships and the application process there. So you can find that webinar already posted on the ieo.ucla.edu/glow page for the on-demand in the on-demand section there. And so before we get to Q&A, I just wanted to let you know that you can definitely contact me anytime you have additional questions. My email is listed here. It's abottom@ieo.ucla.edu, or you also have our general info at ieo.ucla.edu if you have other questions about study abroad in general. And at this moment, I'm going to invite Deborah and Michael to come back on with me for Q&A. If you have any questions, I see some questions listed now, but if you have any questions, please write those now if you haven't already, and we can get around to answering them. So the first question that I have here was clarifying about when the application opens. So the application is already open. It opened on November 2nd. Our faculty-led travel study programs and our Global Cities program, which are 2 other study abroad programs, those open on the 18th. But it looks like from the student, there must be something on the website saying that Global Internships opens on the 18th. So I'll look into that, but just note that the Global Internship Program application is currently open. So if you go to our website again, you can look at Global Internships, and you can apply as soon as tonight if you're interested. Any other questions? Is it possible to do STEM-related activities such as research? Deborah, would you say, how about in Sydney?
Yep, absolutely. So a lot of the times the research, because this particular program, you can't be working with a for-profit organization. So we'll most likely place you with a university actually for some of that, those placements.
And do you remember any universities that you work with in Sydney?
Yep, we worked with University of New South Wales for quite a while, and we have placed research students there in the past. So that's a very common institution that we work in close partnership with.
Awesome. Any other questions? Michael, while we're waiting, do you have any last thoughts you wanted to tell the students?
Yeah, yeah, I think one thing, I mean, one question was regarding, major requirements or how it overlaps with what your plans are. But one thing, as far as a requirement for the Scholars Program, is our capstone. So I'm working with Jennifer Lindholm, the director of the program, to see that the capstone, the internship could work into fulfillment of the capstone for students that are now juniors, since you'll be at the end of your junior year. Um, for the sophomores now and entering freshmen, you'll still have a lot to go. So it may not fulfill the capstone yet, but could be worked out in the plan. But as you know, as a very young program, we're working around to see how this fulfills that. But the important thing is that you're doing what you want to do. You're fulfilling your passion. Study abroad's a great experience, especially in this time. There's going to be a lot of interest in study abroad, especially internships, since it introduces that practical nature to our education, our learning, being, and doing model of the Scholars Program. So I'll stop right there. I just wanted to put that in there for our scholars.
We have another question here from a global studies major that says they have to complete their global studies 110A and 110B course for summer, and wanted to know whether they could do this program as well as their global studies courses. So I'll give you my answer, but also I would suggest emailing me, because I think this might be a longer conversation itself. But I would say in general about doing other courses at the same time you're doing internship. Although I can't technically force you not to do other courses, I don't have a mechanism to stop you, I would highly recommend that you only take the courses that we are offering, because it is going to be an intensive internship experience, especially in the summer too. Those summer courses are condensed. And so, we want to make sure that you're really focusing on the internship experience. We've kind of cultivated these courses around that experience so that it really complements the experience. In the case of the Global Studies 110A and 110B, I know that there are faculty-led programs as well that I think you're required to do to fulfill those programs. But I would suggest just send me an email on the screen at abottom@ieo.ucla.edu, and we can have a conversation, because I think it's a little more in-depth question that I can talk about. But in general, for taking additional courses than the ones that we've suggested, I highly recommend that you don't, only because of just that how intense the internship experience will be. Also, while you're abroad, you're going to want to be traveling and doing things, and you'll have activities, and it's a new experience. And so we also don't want you to be loaded with 4 courses, and doing internship experience would just be a lot. So that's my recommendation. I also wanted to point out, as Michael was saying, I totally forgot to mention that earlier, but yeah, it is a great way to fulfill that capstone requirement. And again, Honors is working on that fulfillment process. So definitely be in communication, with Michael about that. Any other questions before we? Oh, I see one more. Okay. There's hi, I'm a transfer student in the honors program at UCLA. I'm qualified for this program, or is Scholars a completely different program? Can I apply to this program in my senior year? So Michael, will you maybe explain what the College Scholars Program is versus a student who's an honors student? Because what
Yeah,
this question, I think, is it's an honors student at UCLA, but I don't know if they're a College Scholars student. So how would they know that if they're
yeah.
scholars?
Well, you would know because you were admitted through the Scholars Program. It was a pilot program started 3 years ago, which we took cohorts of freshman students. So they're continuing freshmen. We haven't right now worked with the cohort for transfer students yet. It's interesting you bring it up. I mean, I know that there are remote experiences that are offered. I'd have to get back to you on that one. It's interesting that you were a transfer student, got into this info session. You must be a great honors student, but I'd have to get back to you on that one. So because this is like specifically as a pilot for the scholar students, but I'd be happy, to connect with you you could just, I don't know if my information will be available.
I can actually, here, I'm gonna write, if you can tell me your email, I'll write it down in the chat, Michael.
Yes, it's M Suarez, MSUAREZ @college.ucla.edu.
I'm sorry. Okay, there you go. So that should be in everyone's chat there. And then here's another question. Would we be able to have a choice between the internships, or will we be matched with one and only have that option? Yeah, it's a good question for Deb.
That is a good question. So you won't have a lot of options that you can say, oh, I want that one, but not that one. There's not that kind of choice. But what will happen is that you'll be presented with an internship placement, and if it's a good fit, and you have that interview and you're pleased with it, you'll move forward. If you get into that interview, or you see the job description and you're like, this is nothing like what I was asking for, I wanted something more like X, we're certainly going to go back and find you something more like X. Maybe there was just some sort of misunderstanding or something to that effect. So we'll work with you in those circumstances. That doesn't happen very often, but every now and then it does, or there was just a miscommunication of some sort. But we will typically only offer you the one placement, but it should be curated to what you are looking for in such a way that I don't think you would decline it. So.
Any last minute questions? All right. Well, again, feel free to reach out to myself or Michael if you have any additional questions. We're so excited for you to join us tonight. Thank you, Michael and Deb, for joining us here. And we just really hope that this program gets off and running this year, and look forward to hopefully, seeing you on the program. There are actually, what I forgot to include that I would like to mention as well. We will have 3 cohort meetings with the cohort that is either in Sydney or virtually with the honors department. So one prior to going, we'll have a meeting with the cohort, which we'll do a pre-departure as well, but this will be a separate meeting specifically with honors. There'll be a meeting while you're abroad itself. And then when you come back, I believe, Michael, you may be presenting even in an info session like this, talking about your experience to future students.
Yeah, no, thanks for, I know I forgot something. Yeah, so as you all know, scholars, that, you read the roadmap book, where in a way we're road mappers, and a lot of you have taken the HC50 course and are expressing that through digital media and communication. So yeah, and via the roadmap, Jennifer and I will be having meetings with you, as Andrew has explained. We really want this experience not only to be, of course, an internship, which is great for all the reasons you heard tonight, but also be part of our reflective community as scholars. We want you to be able to come back and share your experience, what you learned, and be able to spread the news to the rest of the community, to create that connection and in an honors colloquium, and then maybe inspire others to do the same. That's what makes us different than other programs. And anyway, just to let you know, that's actually what would fulfill the scholars' requirements as well. So thank you. And also I just want to take this time too to thank you, Andrew, for setting this up, and Deborah for coming all the way from Australia and throughout all the connection stuff. But really thank you all for supporting our efforts to really make our programs and make our study abroad experience the best that UCLA can offer and abroad. So thank you very much for doing that.
Well, thank you all. And again, reach out to us if you have any other questions. Other than that, we'll stop the recording, but we'll have it posted on our site in the future very soon. And I'll let Michael know when that's up, so we can relay that in case you want to come back and watch again. Otherwise, have a great night, and I hope to see you soon.